Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, the meeting will begin in approximately 2 minutes. Find your seats, grab your plates. The meeting will begin in 2 minutes. Be sure to silence all cellular devices so that we will not be interrupting the meeting once it commences. Please and thank you.
Hey, Aaron. Okay, everybody, we're going to get started in a couple minutes. So find your seats. And if you're on the stage, please wander up and take your seat.
One minute remaining. Please silence all cellular devices. The meeting will begin approximately in 1 minute. Grab your food, find your chairs, have your seats, and turn off them cell phones. Coach Joe's about to take the stand. Please, the meeting is about to begin. We're ready, Coach.
I'm newer to the Rotary world too. I just joined this year, so I'm learning all the ways we operate. But today I'm just doing.
Protect your ears.
Oh no. He's gonna whistle to get people's attention.
Almost lost my whistle. Hey, team, game time. So isn't it great to be back in our home stadium after being on the road for a couple weeks? Wasn't the gala fun this year? Did you guys enjoy it? Big thank you to Carrie Hamill and her team. The numbers are looking good. Wasn't our off-site meeting at the Samuel Merritt University exceptional? What a great time that was. Big thank you to Pat Williams and David Stein and his team for putting that together. Okay, welcome to Oakland Rotary number 3, the third oldest Rotary Club in the world. I'm Joe Gorelka, president, a retired CPA and CFO from East Bay Restaurant Supply, and you can call me Coach Joe. Around the world, there are more than 46,000 Rotary clubs with 1.26 million Rotarians in over 221 countries, providing more than 47 million service hours a year. Most cities you can name have a Rotary Club. We have both local and global impact. We gather weekly as business and community leaders to make a difference in the world and right here in Oakland to support each other and to support each other's businesses. Welcome, so glad you're here, either in person or online. Now I'd like to welcome, if there are any visiting Rotarians, would you stand? Do we have any visiting Rotarians?
Well, I'm standing because I'm a Rotarian, but here we go.
Oh, Mark! Mark, tell us who you are and where you're from. Mark's very active in the district, and he's responsible for putting our ad in the district program.
That's right.
Which club are you with, Mark?
Oh yeah, well, tell us, Mark.
The world's greatest Rotary Club.
Oakland number 3?
The world's greatest Rotary Club, Pleasanton North Rotary, but as Herb Ritter says, every one of us is part of the world's greatest Rotary Club. Otherwise, why would we be in that club?
Indeed.
Welcome, Mark. Do we have any other visiting Rotarians?
Visiting Rotarians,
Alex?
got one.
Please welcome Dr. Jim Lessinger from the Benicia Rotary Club.
Wow, Jim, welcome.
coming.
So glad to have you. Benicia is a fabulous place to be. We have a bike group that rides there
Yes.
at least once a month.
We'll get there.
Now, do we have any other visitors?
I think we do,
Yes.
Joe.
Guests?
This is getting exciting. Let's go with Tricia first.
I think. All right, I have, hello, Coach Joe. I have two guests today. First, we have Bianca Lewis. She is a director at St. Vincent Day Home, a pre-K through K educational facility since 1911 in West Oakland, offering fantastic services for youth for free. It's an unbelievable institution. I'm so happy to have her here. Thank you.
Welcome, Veronica.
And my other guest is Peter Connors, my son, who has moved back from Virginia and is starting a job on Monday. So we're very happy that he is available to come to a Rotary meeting, and he's horrified that I'm introducing him. So welcome, Peter Connors.
Peter, welcome. Don't be a stranger. If you're working here in Oakland, join us.
Hi, Coach
Allison?
Joe. Hello. Thank you for this meeting today. I have a guest, Renee and Teen, who I just met walking the street yesterday. Not what you think. On my way to meet Mac at the coffee shop, and there were people on patrol doing ice alerts, safety patrol, doing ice alerts. So Renee is with an organization called RIT, which stands for
Refugee Immigrant Transitions.
Thank you. Welcome.
Welcome, and we appreciate the work you're doing. Mac?
Coach Joe, I rise with the distinctive honor of recognizing Ariana Farsai. She is a visiting person here and prospective member of Oakland Rotary, number 3.
Hey, Sean Cullum? Sean, I'm going to put you on the spot. You have someone out here to introduce, even though you're just walking in. Can you get Sean a microphone?
Yeah, what?
Yes, Bob Harris. I'd like to introduce Liz Davis of the Oakland branch of the NAACP, and Marcel.
Welcome, Marcel, welcome. Good to see you.
Liz, our new executive director.
Please, Marcel, please. You're almost a member, so go ahead and step in. And Marcel, we had extra food. I don't know if you remember that we dropped by a week or so.
I most definitely do. My staff called me and I say, thank you all for bringing the extra food to St. Vincent de Paul. And this is a wonderful relationship. And so as our old executive director, Blaise Blover, retired, we have our new executive director, Liz Davis, who is now part of the St. Vincent de Paul team. Thank you.
Welcome, welcome. David Stein, past President David Stein.
President Joe, fellow Rotarians and guests, I'm David Stein, thankfully retired attorney. It's my pleasure today to introduce Yasi Safinya. Did I get close? She is the executive director of Camps in Common, which is a not-for-profit that runs Oakland's Feather River Family Camp, taking Oaklanders up into the mountains, including a lot of young folks for free. Please give Yasi a warm Rotary welcome.
Welcome, Yasi.
Okay, hold on, Joe.
Matthias?
Hola, hola. Hi, everyone. It's my pleasure to be able to introduce Peter and Joelle. Let Joelle introduce yourself.
Okay. Hi, I'm here because I've never met a rock I didn't like, and I heard that Andrew Alden was speaking here. I have been fascinated by his book, which I cannot recommend more highly. I was the executive director of Cazadero Performing Arts Camp for many, many years. Also the executive director of Congregation Beth Israel in Berkeley. Never heard of a Rotary Club. I'm French, and I'm very delighted to hear about everything you do. This is wonderful.
Welcome.
Thank you.
And now let's get the microphone to Sean.
Sean's got somebody. What's up, Tom?
one more introduction. Hi, I'm Sean Callum. I'm the Chief Credit and Risk Officer at Housing Trust Silicon Valley, and I have the distinct pleasure of introducing someone very important. It is Nadine Decateau. She is the Senior Director of Philanthropic Planning at the East Bay Community Foundation, but more importantly, my wife. That was important.
And I don't want to say more important than that, but Nadine is going to sponsor a meeting in a week or two. Welcome, Nadine. Do we have all our guests?
I think that's good.
Very good. Now please welcome Aaron Smith, founder of Friends of Concordia Park, keeping the park clean and beautiful. Aaron is going to give us a thought for the day.
Thank you, Coach Joe. Hello, Rotarians, distinguished guests. I have your thought for the day today, and it comes from Sappho. She is an ancient Greek poet and one of my favorite poets. So I'm going to read you a little line from Sappho Fragment 16. Some say that the most beautiful thing on the black earth is a cavalcade of horsemen. Others say that it is a column of soldiers. Still others say that it is a line of ships. But I say that it is whatever you love. And for me, this is one of my favorite pieces of ancient poetry ever written because it is a celebration of humanity. What Sappho is saying is that for all of the things that humans have made, the glittering cities we've created, the armies that we can call up, nothing is as special as our ability to love, our ability to disagree with one another, our ability to come to terms, right? And as we are sort of approaching the sort of dawn of the AI era, maybe against our will, I think that it's very important for us to consider and to remember that the things that make us special are things that can never be recreated, right? A machine can't love. A machine can't do what we can do. And I think that that is the most beautiful thing on the black earth. Thanks all.
Thank you, Aaron. That was great. So this week we actually have a meeting sponsor. Do you know what a meeting sponsor is? Well, for $300, you can promote your business or event to our 250 plus, actually approaching over 260, business and community leaders in person or online or in our Live Oak newsletter. I think it's the best promotion deal out there. So let me introduce our meeting sponsor, someone you know well, Cedric Titus, owner of Minuteman Press Franchise Oakland, and a recent host of our Business Development Mixer. Cedric?
Thank you, Coach. I rose early because I have 3 minutes. Did you guys hear that? 3 minutes. And I am starting right now. Is the first slide up? Yes, can you bring up the first slide, please?
One moment.
Well, I'll just talk to the first slide. Basically, modern printing has been changing at a rapid rate. Full color, fast turnaround, local service. It also has meant that their products have gone away because of technology. PDFs killed a big chunk of business. Emails, people with tablets no longer have pads of paper but tablets. So changes are happening, but with those changes are also new products, and that's what you see on your table. Next slide. Now, Minuteman Press is your local printer. We focus on business cards, direct mail, and also signage. In the history, next slide please. In the history of modern printing, we thought we were doing really good with offset presses. That's what you see at the bottom. That's an ugly offset press. The offset era really took hold in the 20th century because you could do high volumes, low price, but it was very expensive to set up. It was like $350 to set up for one page. You see those two logos on the page here? Go to the next slide. I think we missed that one. Oh, what do those two logos have in common? Who was that? One color. Basically in the 30s, 40s, 20s, whenever, if you had a logo, it was one color. Nobody had a digital printer, nobody had full color. That's what IBM is blue. That's why Coca-Cola is red. But now, next slide. Everybody can have color now. You can go get one print in color. You can get 10 prints in color. Apple, you see new logos now have multiple colors because of technology. Go to the next one. The big benefit of digital printing, you saw that Stanford one on the bottom, one color. Now they added green. And when Oakland Roots went to do their logo, you think they thought about offset? You think they thought about one color? They just assumed you could have as many colors as you want. And that's the benefit of digital printing, and that's what we do at Minuteman. Next one, we got like 10 seconds. Lower cost, ability to test marketing things, more flexibility, and professional full color. That's what we do today because of technology. That's not what we're going to do 20 years from now because of technology. Thank you. Minuteman Press, no job too small, no job too big.
Great job, and I can attest to the Minuteman and Minuteman Press. Cedric has done a number of projects for me, some for Rotary, some for others, and we go through oh, I can do it, I can do it, I can do it, and it always ends up with, you want it when? So now I'd like to welcome a new member, fairly new member, Danny Wan, a land use, regulatory, and real estate attorney at Donahue Fitzgerald Attorneys. Danny, please give us your 3-minute Rotary introduction.
All right, thanks, Joe. Well, I first want to thank that it's very special introducing myself here because Oakland Rotary has welcomed me to this very special group of fellows that cares and gives back to Oakland, where I feel at home. So thank you very much for listening to my little story about myself. I think my story is one of finding myself in ultimate happiness by not necessarily following the easiest path in life. And by overcoming challenges, I seem to gravitate toward challenges. When I was 10 years old, I remember flying from the tropics of Taiwan and landing a strange land of tremendous whiteness. And by whiteness, I don't mean people, though being Asian was exotic at the time. But my first image of a blanket of freezing snow that covered all of the rolling hills and reflecting the rigid sun in my young eyes. Rural Alberta, Canada was where I immigrated to first. And that's where I spent my early adolescence struggling with a language that was entirely a different system than my native tongue at the time. All at the same time, keeping up with learning French was as a required class in Canada. We finally immigrated in the US when I was 16 into yet another adventure. We first settled in Kansas City, the land of the Ozarks. I worked at my family's fast food restaurant where we sold pork tenders as well as egg rolls. A teenage girl working at the restaurant who liked me told me stories about how black kids and white kids would fight each other at the borders between Missouri and Kansas. She told me that she never dated an Asian boy and wondered what it would be like. So that was my first awakening to race identity in America, and the first of my many awakenings to my identity in this country. From there, we moved to San Francisco. It was yet another stark transition from the rural and urban to the hyper-urban. I went to Galileo High School near Chinatown, where being Asian was not the exotic, but the majority. I soon uncovered the politician in me when I ran for student government president, but alas, lost to this football team captain. It was in high school when I noticed that I admired the guys more than the girls. Going to Cal Berkeley was yet another adventure. Of course, being the challenge seeker, I studied rhetoric. Or for those who not familiar with that, it's English, except you had to verbally perform literature and persuasively in front of the audience. There was one professor who was particularly fond of literature by Southern American authors, who gave me the challenge of substituting my Chinese accent with a Southern accent during my oral interpretation of short stories of Southern life. So as if overcoming cultural, language, and social barriers and being an immigrant kid wasn't enough, I just had to be gay. So struggling with that, embracing that identity, and being proud of it is yet another story that I will tell at a later time. I got my master's degree in education. I student taught at what was then McChesney Middle School and then Oakland High School. I got my first job at Union City Middle School, where a quarter of the kids didn't come to school until middle of October, when the harvest season for farm workers will wind down. I think my early life experience and many transitions I told you about, learning to adapt to many people and not being afraid of challenges, have made me a person able to assess any given situation or group and making out to achieve harmony and result. I understand what's uncomfortable at first can lead to satisfying outcomes later. It is with this lesson that I became the first openly LGBT council member on the Oakland City Council in 2000. I advocated the first in the nation recognition of domestic partnership and eventually gay marriage. I adopted a major renovation of Lake Merritt and the waterfront trails that resulted in much improved water quality. And I know that Children's Fairyland was one of my favorite projects. Thank you, CJ. Professionally, an attorney with focus on public agencies. First starting out on public finance attorney, then specializing in land use, permitting, and environmental regulation. I was a deputy attorney for the city of Morgan Hill, a city attorney for the city of Morgan Hill, then general counsel and executive director for the Port of Oakland. And David Stein, they introduced me to Donahue Fitzgerald, for which I'm now of counsel, and to this wonderful community here at the Rotary. So that's my life in a nutshell in 3 minutes. So thank you very much.
Awesome, Danny. Thank you.
Thank you.
Danny, I have your blue badge here.
Oh, wow.
Welcome to Oakland Rotary membership for a lifetime.
Thank you very much.
Welcome,
Thank you.
Danny.
All right.
Oh, gosh, I see some bell ringers out there. CJ?
Here I come, CJ.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I would like to ring the bell for Danny Wan, who allowed me to build a beautiful children's theater. You all have experienced Rotary meetings there. Danny made it possible. You're the best.
CJ rings the bell for Danny.
Hold on, Fred's got something to
Fred
say.
Morris.
And I also would like to ring the bell for Danny.
Fred Morris rings the bell for Danny.
Oh, I like how Seth made me run back there. I see what you did there. I see what you did.
I'd like to ring the bell for my former boss at the Port of Oakland. When I was the port commissioner, Danny was the executive director, first as the port attorney and then as the executive director for the port. Thank you, Danny.
Past president Seth Sputner rings the bell for
Hold
Danny.
on, Seth. Hold on there, Joe.
Let's keep him running back and forth. Oh, there you go, Bill. Good job.
Hi. Hi, I'm Alita Scola. Who cares? But anyway, thank you, Danny. You have had an enormous impact on the city of Oakland. I'd like to ring the bell for Danny. He's my client and my friend, and I am so grateful that he is in existence and in Rotary.
Alita Scola rings the bell for Danny.
All right, hold on. Here it comes. Here it comes. Hold on. Oh, okay. Thank you.
I'd like to ring the bell twice. I'd like to ring the bell once for Danny, and then I want to ring the bell for my mentor in speech and co-mentor in Rotary, Mark Linsky.
Bill Schwartz rings the bell for Danny and for Mark. Any more bell ringers out there? Okay. Oh.
Hello. Give it to him, man.
Oh, I don't know. What is it? No, go ahead, Ann. Thank
I
you
want
for
to ring the bell for Allison's. I want to ring the bell for Allison's guest and the organization for which she works, Refugees in Transition. Thank you.
Okay, good job.
Ann Brick rings the bell for Refugees in Transition. And as I've been scolded and reminded, thank you very much, a bell ringer is a generous $100 donation to our Oakland Rotary Endowment and funds our community service projects right here in Oakland. And now I'd like to welcome Michael Bacall. Michael is a Cal Bear, go Bears, and a PhD in education with a master's in public health, a two-time Fulbright scholar. Michael is co-founder of Voices Humanos, a youth and environmental NGO in Guatemala that is responding to climate change. and the steward of several Rotary grants that Peter Sherris has initiated. Michael, can you give us an update on the Carl Stuckey World Community Service Project, Voices Humanos?
All right, well, thanks so much. You can hear me? Yes? Okay, great to pull the mic up. Great. Okay, well, great to be here with everyone. Great to see some familiar faces. So this is a project, as Joe said, Voces Humanos, that really got its start with a lot of support from Oakland Rotary. Peter Sherris, who's hiding there in the back, has been really a champion of this project. Some of you have even visited the project. I see Keith and Shannon here. Others can raise their hand if you've been to the project site in Guatemala. So you all have really been fundamental in raising over the past 5 years and raising actually over $400,000 to support community-driven development in the small community of Rabinal Baja Verapaz, Guatemala. And I'm just going to give a short update on what you all have helped make possible. We can go to the next slide. So briefly who we are. Voces Humanos started as an educational organization. Rotary Oakland and other supporters began providing scholarships to help young Maya Achi folks in this community of Rabinal attend high school and then college. But we quickly learned that there were few opportunities for young adults to find work in the local community. And around that same time, the impacts of prolonged drought, which was having devastating impacts on people's ability to grow corn, was becoming evident. And so we started a program to address these two issues together, lack of opportunities for work and also the impacts of drought. And so we began providing jobs to young people to become promoters of agroecology, basically an approach to farming that uses ecological principles to build resilience. And so what we're seeing in the community of Rabinal where we work is basically what you see in this image here, where farmers who have lived for thousands of years off of corn and beans were now experiencing massive crop failures. And for many years, they were told that the best way to improve their crop yields was by using massive, copious quantities of agrochemicals. But it turns out that that's actually the worst thing you can do when you're experiencing conditions of drought. And so we've been working to help farmers use sustainable organic practices, many of which actually draw on practices that Mayan farmers have developed over hundreds of years. Go to the next slide. We work in the dry corridor of Central America, which is the place you see indicated here on the map, which is one of the 10 most vulnerable places to climate change anywhere in the Western Hemisphere. Next slide. And as I mentioned, we were really concerned about addressing, one, the lack of opportunities available for young people, and also these prolonged droughts that were having a devastating impact on the community. And so these young people have been trained over many years to become what we call agroecology promoters. And so each of these young people is responsible for working with groups of 25 or 30 farmers, mostly women, helping them to diversify their crops, develop organic compost, and replace toxic, highly damaging chemicals with organic alternatives. So all this work is led by our young adult promoters. We can go to the next slide. And then along with that, we also have community level promoters. These are community members who have really developed a particular passion for using agroecology and are so good at it that they have converted their farms into model parcels, which serve as training facilities where their neighbors can come, visit their farm, and see effective agroecological sustainable practices and work. To see these successful practices being used in real life. And then farmers, when they see it for themselves, they understand how it works and they're motivated to implement these practices on their own farms. And we can go to the next slide. And I just want to end with an example of one of these community leaders that we call ahuach. That's the word in Maya Achi for community leader. This is Don Julian. Some of you have actually met Don Julian. We can go to the next slide. This is what his farm looked like when we began working with him. He grew basically monocrop corn. It was one of very few crops. He had a few fruit trees. And then Lilian, who some of you have met, began working with him, and little by little, they began transforming his farm, substituting out all agrochemicals, using all organic inputs, improving his animal health through vaccination campaigns, and over many years, his farm experienced a dramatic transition, and now it looks something like this. And you see that he's growing corn, beans, squash. That's what we call the traditional milpa system, or the three sisters. He's got a wide array of fruit trees, lemons and oranges and peaches and avocados. This past year, he grew over 1,000 heads of cabbage, which can be sold in the market for a really good price. And it's the only organic cabbage that's available anywhere in the Robinal market. And his practices are so effective that he became one of these community leaders, what we call the Ahwach. And now his farm is turning into a training facility where other people from his community can study and learn how to do agroecology and put it into practice on their own land. And so this is all possible because of your leadership, helping us to create the series of global grants that are building, very importantly, building the capacity of local people to create change for themselves. So thank you so much for your support.
Perfect timing.
Looks like we have a bell ringer out here.
Good job, Keith.
Keith? Gira?
Yes, President. I would like to ring the bell for Michael Bacall. I met him many years ago, a fresh kid out of Piedmont High, and he took on a community in Guatemala, and he has done just virtually everything for that community without ever beating his chest about it. I'd like to ring the bell for Michael.
Keith rings the bell for Michael. Shannon?
I've also had the pleasure of going to Robinal and seeing Michael in action, and to see a community keeping the people in the hills so they couldn't deal with the oppression down the hill, and having a tilapia farm up on a mountain was amazing to see. Congratulations, and ring the bell for me.
Shannon rings the bell for Michael. Keith?
Hold on, Keith's got something to say. It's a good thing we're about behind. Go on.
Also, having had the opportunity of visiting Guatemala, and I encourage everyone to please visit the work that they are doing in Guatemala and the impact that they are having in the community. So I'd like to ring the bell for what is going on in Voces Hermanos. Thank you.
Keith rings the bell for Michael
Hold on,
Bacall.
don't get excited,
Karen.
Joe. We should call this Ring the Bell Day.
I also want to ring the bell for Michael. I met him and encouraged him to go to his first uni in Antigua, Guatemala. And since that time, over the years, he's done amazing work. And so congratulations, and I'm ringing the bell for you, Michael.
Karen rings the bell for Michael. I'd like to ring the bell for Voices Hermanos and Michael Bacall. Peter, if you would join me here at the podium. Peter, in recognition of your service above self efforts, as an AV support group leader, meetings would not be the same without you. For being a key founder of Kinderprep, and for chairing and then co-chairing the Carl Stuckey World Community Service Committee, successfully overseeing dozens of grants and international projects each year, and for being a Rotary Foundation grant expert that members from our club and around the district rely on, and for supporting Voices Hermanos since 2010, and for making a significant difference in the lives of so many. I present you a Rotary on the Run medal. Thank you, Peter.
President Joe, can I ring the bell for Michael?
You sure can.
Oh, I used to do this all the time.
Past President Peter Sheriff rings the bell. Now I'd like to bring up, get caught up here. Ooh, shoot. We'll have to do it at the end, Michael. I'd like to welcome Caitlin Levenstrong, Executive Director of Oakland Goes Outdoors, a program in partnership with OUSD that integrates outdoor learning into the school day. Caitlin, would you please introduce our speaker?
As Joe mentioned, I work for Oakland Goes Outdoors, and so a lot of our programming gives students hands-on experience with the geology in and around Oakland. And so, for example, our students are always amazed to hear that we have a volcano in our backyard. How many of you know that? Okay, cool. For those that don't, go check out Sibley Volcanic Regional Preserve. It's beautiful. But I really appreciated the invitation today to introduce our speaker, Andrew Alden. Those of us here can likely agree that Oakland has a lot of depth. Our speaker is going to make that knowledge a little more concrete for us. And geologists tell us that California is a dynamic place, always in a state of becoming. Geology has made Oakland special, and it continues to shape our future. So Andrew's here to help us see through our city, or see our city through that lens. And while I couldn't dig up any real dirt on Andrew, I can offer a brief look at his bio. Andrew Alden is a geoscience writer who has studied our rocks and landforms since moving to Oakland just 2 weeks before the 1989 earthquake. He knows the city intimately, having walked every block, trail, and staircase. His work has appeared in Bay Nature and KQED Science, and his book, Deep Oakland, How Geology Shaped a City, is a true love letter to this place and its deep history. So please join me in welcoming Andrew Alden.
Thank you, Eve. Thank you, Joe. Thank you, all of you, for being here. My name is Andrew Alden. I am a geoscience writer these days. I made my living as a copy editor for 50 years until just before the age of AI, and I'm so happy to have left the business before that. If we could have the slides, please. My talk is Oakland in the deep present. And what do I mean by the deep present? What do we got here? Okay, yeah. The deep present is more than the human present. The human present extends maybe, from this week to a lifetime. All right. It might go back as far as this wonderful auditorium, which has recently been reopened and renovated. And it's a privilege to be here, by the way. That was in 1914. That was maybe a lifetime and a half ago. The Rotary International, Rotary number 3, was launched in 1905. That's, 120 years ago. Oakland itself goes back to 1852. Alta California itself goes back to 1769. And the Vizcaíno voyage up the California coast was in 1602. And that's the European history of Oakland. But the deep present goes far beyond that. It's time measured in millennia, in thousands of years. Not even centuries. Next slide, please. This photograph from the 1880s shows the Oakland Hills at the time. And even then, Europeans have made a big difference in the landscape. Not so much in the hills, but in the foreground, which is Lake Merritt, which before Samuel Merritt took it upon himself to dam the slough, was just a nice mudflat with some water in it and fish and marshes and so on. It was a resource for the Ohlonies. And when you talk about people in touch with the deep present, I have to give a shout out to the Ohlonies, who shaped the landscape to fit their lifestyle so that they could live in it forever. And that meant taking the hills and regularly setting fire to them at just the right time to foster the plants and the communities that depended on those plants that supported their lifestyle. Next slide, please. And in just a few lifetimes since then, the hills look like this now. They're covered with trees, they're covered with houses, they're covered with power lines and roads and cars. And that To me, that goes to show the power we have to shape the world to suit our needs. And I think we need to keep that in mind as we look ahead to a very challenging future. Next slide, please. I'm going to show two maps, and we're going to center the talk. We're going to revisit these maps over and over again. This is the city today, as shown on Google Earth. When it's turned sideways like this, you can see there's a strip across the top that represents the Oakland Hills, which I just showed you. They're green. And then down below we have a set of hills that the city of Piedmont is on. We have a set of foothills around it that some of our nicest neighborhoods are on. We have the flats, we have the shore. And now I'm going to show you the other map, which is a geologic map. Next slide, please. Of the same territory. And yeah, these topographic features I mentioned also show up in what's underneath them. The hills have a great variety of different rocks of different ages. The Piedmont area has its own block of bedrock that's shown in blue. The foothills around them are shown in orange shade, the flats in their own shade, and a couple things that don't really show, except to the folks in the Zoom meeting who can look at this closely. But downtown Oakland and West Oakland are on a block of ground that represents a large body of wind-blown sand dunes from the last ice age. And that same thing underlies Alameda to the south, and also Bay Farm Island, that little bitty patch down by the airport. So, moving on, the plan of my talk. Next slide, please. I'm going to go into three different lessons from the present, and they all have to do with what's under the ground: quarries, landslides, and earthquakes. And they all have to do with exposing things that humans have exposed, and we are now having to deal with. And for each of these three topics, next slide, please, I'll bring up 3 points. 1, we didn't know what we were doing. 2, we are paying for what we did not know in the past. We're paying for that today. And 3, we can do better in the future knowing what we know. Next slide, please. And I can think of no better inspiration for this talk than the wonderful friezes, the bas-relief portals on the side facing the lake that were created by Alexander Sterling Calder back in the 1910s. And this one here is called The Wealth of the Earth. It shows on the left side the delight of flowers. And on the right side it shows the source of food. So these are talking about the soil mostly, but I'm going to go a bit deeper. Next slide, please. Into quarries. So here's that geologic map again, and it shows the locations of the major rock quarries. Now, why were these so important? Well, in the early days when Oakland was being founded, as I said, downtown was a big area of sand dunes. It was fine sand, which is fine for a little village, but when you start running wagons and a lot of foot traffic and commerce, the sand, well, turned into sand. Turned into wind-blown sand in the summer and mucky sand in the winter. And so one of the first concerns the city had was to pave the streets. And at that time, you wanted to pave the streets, you needed lots of crushed rock. Because this was the days before asphalt. This was the days of macadam, which was a road building technique based on layers of crushed stone, of successively finer crushed stone topped with rock dust and rolled down and compressed and watered. And that was the state of the art in city streets back in the 1860s. So you see this each of these queues is a quarry. There are a few of them are very major, including the one at the farthest to the west, which is also the closest to downtown, you'll notice. That's the quarry up at 51st and Broadway. It's just 3 miles up the road, and when it was opened in 1862 or thereabouts, the city specified it as the source for all of its crushed rock. So people who own that quarry were in a sweet spot. And then the next two quarries running down the side of that blue patch of bedrock. One was started by Walter Blair in 1973, and the next one down was by the Alameda Macadamizing Company, also in the 1870s. So all three people got rich by supplying the city with the ingredients to grow into the great city we know today. Let me fetch my water glass here. The thing about a quarry, it's a hole in the ground, and when you open up the ground, it's an incision into the earth. And when you do that, the earth wants to heal it. Next slide, please. And this is just one example. I'm just going to show one example of Oakland's more than 24 quarries. This is the Diamond Canyon Quarry. It's in Diamond Canyon. The little road in front of that big opening in the ground is what we know today as Park Boulevard. And I love this picture because it shows the ground before the humans, before the Europeans covered it with houses. But the quarry closed in the 20s, and it got bought, and it changed hands, and it was an open eyesore for many years, until next slide, until the 50s and 60s, when the Zion Lutheran Church decided to rehabilitate it and move in, and that's where they are today. Now, if you look closely at this picture, yeah, the quarry walls are still there, but over to the right of the church, you see a lot of black plastic tarps. Those are covering landslides. The walls of the quarry have been crumbling. You see up at the upper right, there's a house there with a bunch of fresh, it has a whole fresh basement and walls built, because otherwise it would fall into the canyon. So that's an example of every single one of these quarries is an incision that's healing. Next slide, please. So in the case of quarries, we didn't know what we were doing. They were way out in the country. No one needed a permit. The city expanded over them and had to deal with the after effects. And that's what we're paying for today. The Zion Lutheran Church had to do a lot of work before they could move in. They're doing a lot of work today to stay there. And it's the same story with every other quarry in town, and I have a whole lecture about that. And we can do better in the future, maybe not specifically for quarries, because we're not having any more. We're not going to have any more quarries in Oakland. But we still need crushed rock, and there's still quarries producing it out in the Livermore Valley and down around Watsonville. And so maybe we'll just need to be spending a bit more for those necessary raw materials. California uses 145 million tons of aggregate products. That's crushed rock, river gravel, topsoil. That's like 3 tons per person per year. So it's a big deal. Next slide, please. The second case is landslides. Those are natural features. They're how the earth moves a lot of material in a hurry. Wherever there are mountains and hillsides, there are landslides. But humans also trigger them. And we trigger them every time we build a road, every time we build a house on a steep hillside. And you can think of each of these operations as another quarry and a little miniature incision. And in the same way, the earth sees it as damage and wants to heal it. Next slide, please. This is a map I derived from the California Geological Survey's database of landslides. You can go in there and you can zoom in on anywhere you want. This shows just the selection of the Oakland Hills. And there are all these little dots of different colors from yellow to red. They signify landslides. The yellow areas are areas of strong landslide potential. If you go in them, you'll see little bits here and there. The red ones are where landslides have already happened. Next slide, please. And you'll see the hills, as I pointed out earlier, they correspond to that multicolored area of different outcropping bedrocks. And the borderline between them is very plain to see. So what are those rocks like? Next slide, please. Well, most of them in the quadrant I want to talk about, which is on the upper left side, is this kind of stuff. This is sedimentary rocks. This is shale. This is sandstone. It tends to fall apart when you expose it. One, because that's the nature of the rock itself, and two, because it has the Hayward Fault has been uplifting the hills about 1 millimeter per year for the last couple million years. So that's where the hills come from. And it does that by having earthquakes. So when you combine this kind of rock with thousands of earthquakes, you have landslide country. Next slide, please. So where the humans come in, this is an old 1812 map of Oakland. And it shows the hills. That red dashed line is the boundary between the lower lands and the high hills. And you'll see on the west side, the lower side, there was residential development expanding toward the hills, but there was basically nothing in the hills. It was watershed land owned by the water companies. It was raw land owned by the Realty Syndicate, by Frank Smith, by Frank Havens, the two Franks, Frank Borak Smith, and the Havens of Havens Court, and the developers of the Claremont Hotel. And now in 1936, on the next slide, we'll show that exact same area. And you can see all the streets, all the residential developments that have entered that zone. This, by the way, is from Claremont Canyon on the left, all the way over past Piedmont Pines to the edge of Joaquin Miller Park on the right. So all those houses, all those streets are, they're like buckshot wounds to the hillside up there. And on the next slide, we'll show dots for every documented landslide that I've seen and that the state has seen there. So this is the kind of impact we've had in just 90 years. Next slide, please. And so, as I say, we weren't thinking about it first. We weren't regulating the houses in the hills when the Havens and the Realty Syndicate put all those houses up there. We're paying for them today because of all those dots represent a city crew or a private landowner having to repair the damage done. And we can do better in the future, which I leave as an exercise for the reader. Next slide, please. Finally, we have earthquakes, and this is the boundary that I keep referring to between the lowlands and the highlands. It is the Hayward Fault. Next slide, please. The Hayward Fault has created our hills by pushing them up and kind of pushing down on the bays, so it makes the highlands and the lowlands. And it does that one earthquake at a time. And this is the record of the earthquakes, major earthquakes on the Hayward Fault. These are big events that break the ground, where the two sides move side by side with respect to each other. There have been about a dozen in the last 2,000 years, which means if you average them, and you really shouldn't, that we are ready for another one. It's going to happen. It could happen from anytime from now to 100 years from now. Next slide, please. So that is right now in the deep present. And when you look at the hills today, and you look at all the houses and streets that have been built on it today, and you also look at where the fault itself runs. We didn't build on we built on the fault without knowing it was there. So we've got Montclair Village, we've got streets, we've got power lines, we've got highways and so on. All that is being very slowly damaged today by aseismic creep. Just a few millimeters a year, the fault is just creeping. It's like sneaking along until it can have a big earthquake. Next slide, please. So this is, I should probably give a trigger warning, but this is what happened in China in 2008 when they had a major earthquake on a city next to a range of mountains. And you look, and it has thousands of landslides on it. Now, Oakland, it's going to happen here. It won't be quite that bad. Our mountains aren't as high, our earthquakes aren't as big, but there will be hundreds of them up there. Next slide, please. Sure. So, my 3 points. Yeah, we didn't think about landslides when we had the hills settled, and we're still building houses there in vulnerable places, and we're paying for that. The city pays for it in maintaining the roads. Landowners pay that in dealing with their properties. And we can do better in the future by preparation. We can't do anything about earthquakes today except get ready for them. So that's kind of a future-facing lesson from the deep present. Next slide, please. Next slide, thank you. This is a big scientific resource that the experts at the U.S. Geological Survey have put together for us. It is the haywired scenario. They call it that because the Hayward Fault is the earthquake that they modeled it on. This is a detailed forecast of a major magnitude 7 earthquake on the Hayward Fault. And then it's also reports from engineering firms, it's reports from emergency response people, it's reports from city planners about how we will deal with this event. So it's a really good resource for everybody whose business it is to think about the long term at all. So I want to leave with that. Good advice, and no more triggering. Next slide, please.
That was incredible. Doesn't look like we're going to have time for questions, unfortunately.
Yeah, thanks.
Can we thank this beautiful, beautiful man?
Thank you.
We thank you so very much.
Yeah.
I think Andrew has one quick comment, real quick, and then we probably have time for one question.
I don't think we do,
I just
Joe.
wanted to say that last frieze I was showing, also from the auditorium, is called The Wealth of the Mind. And it refers to these things that AI will never give us. And Calder knew that in 1911. They are, if you go out there and look at it, the images represent memory, imagination, history, intuition, and reverie. So those are cool things we must hold on to. Thanks.
Thank you. Scary topic. When's the earthquake going to happen? We have probably room for one quick question. Is there a question out there? What's your best guess when oh, Aaron's got a question. Go ahead.
First, I just
hear if you've ever thought about what you think the future of Oakland's geology will look like, the actual shape of the city, right? Maybe in 1,000 years or whatever, right? You're talking about the Hayward Fault. I'm curious if you've ever thought about that.
Well, yeah, the question is, what is Oakland itself going to look like at the deep present scale as thousands of years in the future? The hills will still be there. The bay will be there for another few tens of thousands of years. After that, the ice ages will kick in and it will go dry again, as it was during the last ice age. But that's not for a few tens of thousands of years. Will the city be there? Well, along the Hayward Fault will become a green belt, because every time there's an earthquake, we will not rebuild there. And who knows? Whatever it is, it's up to us starting now.
Andrew, thank you for being here. In honor of your presentation, we've made a donation to Polio Plus, so know that you are helping eradicate polio from the world. It's Rotary's signature project. Over 3 decades, we've reduced reported polio cases 99.9%, and we will eradicate polio because we are this close. And I also have a Rotary 4-way test coin for you to take to remember us by. Thank you so much for being here, Andrew.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I used to know polio victims. I knew people who were paralyzed from polio. I know people who are suffering post-polio syndrome right now today. So this means a lot to me. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrew. If you'd get a speaker to Mac quickly, please. And I want to do a couple quick announcements. I want to congratulate Corner Pocket. They've just been selected to play every Thursday at the Ballers game, so you might want to go see them. Greg Knight has brought a banner, and after we talk to Mac, I'm going to have him read something on that banner. Mark Rosen, are you still out there? Mark was going to promote, we are going to be at the Oakland Roots a week from Saturday on May 16th. Tom Lamone's going to have an awesome barbecue, and we have super great seats. Tickets are available on Eventbrite. Mac, I was going to cover for you, but I can't remember if the event's this Saturday or Sunday. So you can quickly tell us who, what, when, and where.
This Sunday at the Old Holy Names University, Oakland Youth Choir will be performing a free concert. We're about supporting the community. Well, here's your chance. Show up. Let's get out there. Be strong. Support Oakland Symphony. 2 p.m. 2 p.m. It's free. That's right. Free. You got to drive, but it's free. Free.
I'm going to bring up Michael Bruck. Michael Bruck, we had a bunch of chocolate concoctions on the table. Do we happen to have a winner?
Thank you, Joe. I want to quickly thank everybody who shared their chocolate creations with us. Particularly, I want to recognize the person who organized everything, the Queen of Chocolate, Carla Betts. Every creation was so wonderful. We couldn't choose a winner. We had a random drawing for this exciting prize that Joe has. And the winner is a chocolate raspberry cake, Julie Fox. And this was in recognition of the upcoming Mother's Day holiday. Happy Mother's Day.
Thank you, Michael. Julie, you have a coveted Rotary yo-yo and a Rotary 4-way test coin. If you'll get a microphone to Greg Knight real quick, and Tom, if you would follow him. Greg brought us a banner from where? Somewhere we know.
So, Coach Joe, this is from the Mammoth Lakes Rotary Club, and they are, we think, officially the highest elevation club. And their motto is Rotary with Altitude, 11,053 feet.
Wow, thank you. Past President Tom Lamone, our extraordinary tailgate preparation person, Jeff, I guess would be the best term. Who is going to be our speaker next week?
Okay, next week, please join us here. Terry Trotter, the executive director for this wonderful cultural hub, Henry J. Kaiser Center for the Arts will be our guest speaker, along with project architect, world famous architect Clark Manis, and he'll provide a tour after the meeting. So we were here a few years ago for that tour, and he'll take us through, and he could talk about the reliefs down on the mezzanine area downstairs. So please invite your friends. This is a special meeting. Thank you.
It's going to be a special meeting, but I think I heard we're having 2 speakers. We're also going to reintroduce someone called C.J. Hirschfield. Should be awesome. So I think we better start 5 minutes early. 2 speakers, a lot of bell ringers, so we're going to start 5 minutes early. So I want to leave you with this. Through Rotary, world peace will come someday, and we will end polio too. Look out, Oakland Rotary is on the run. This meeting is adjourned.